Russia's invasion of Ukraine has led to an ironic turn of events. For the first time in modern history, a country has been invaded by its own people. While the short-lived Wagner rebellion failed to topple Putin, another group of battle-hardened Russians is determined to end his regime. The Freedom of Russia Legion was formed shortly after the invasion began. Many Russians opposed Putin's special military operation and took to the streets in protest before being suppressed. Now, any public dissent in Russia is punishable, even among children. Wagner's rebellion only caused Putin to further restrict freedoms by maintaining expanded police powers. With the threat of raids looming, most Russians are now too scared to protest the ongoing war. But some Russians believe deadly force is needed to end Putin's rule and cripple the military campaign in Ukraine. Officially called foreign volunteer legions, several all-Russian or mostly Russian fighting groups have emerged since the invasion started. The two most prominent are the Russian Volunteers Corps, harboring disturbing far-right views, and the Freedom of Russia Legion, seeking to restore democracy in Russia. Despite ideological differences, both groups share the common goal of overthrowing Putin for now. In addition to these organized factions, a patchwork of decentralized anti-government forces has arisen, including pro-democracy activists, anarcho-communists and more. While uncoordinated, they are united in their mission to end Putin's reign and undermine the war effort. Sabotage attacks have become ubiquitous across Russia, with infrastructure, industrial sites and public places frequently damaged or destroyed. Ukrainian intelligence documented nearly 100 such incidents in early 2023 alone. Though many were mere annoyances, some sabotage significantly disrupted military supply chains. As the Free Russia Legion explains, only about 50% of these attacks are coordinated between the various resistance groups. Most partisans operate independently, and Russian dissidents along with Ukrainian intelligence openly provide guerrilla warfare guidance. America enthusiastically fans the flames of destruction, likely providing clandestine support. This decentralized approach has stymied Russian security services struggling to stomp out resistance. Like whack-a-mole, new groups continually pop up to replace those suppressed. Having few connections between factions is an essential tactic of guerrilla warfare, one that Russian fighters have quickly mastered. The Free Russia Legion stands above the rest, with an estimated 501,000 well-trained and equipped fighters, and claims of thousands more in the pipeline. The group flaunts an arsenal of armored vehicles, anti-aircraft missiles, artillery and more. This was evidenced by their spearheading of an assault into Belgorod in May alongside the Russian Volunteer Corps, with at least 2 tanks confirmed. Despite joking they bought American anti-tank missiles at local stores, the Legion's considerable armaments likely come from Western intelligence support. After leaving the Bakhmut front in spring, the Legion began preparations to infiltrate Russia itself. While they may have acted alone, Ukrainian and Western influences possibly shaped the bold plan. Russia's criminally undefended border with Ukraine relies on Ukraine's promise not to attack Russian territory, which Western allies prohibit, fearing it could provoke Putin to use nuclear weapons. Russia depends on this restraint, stationing few capable combat forces near its borders due to desperate needs on the Eastern Front. Only poorly trained conscripts and territorial units remain to defend the homeland. They were no match for the highly trained and motivated Freedom of Russia Legion and Russian Volunteer Corps. In late May, the two groups launched a brazen cross-border assault into Belgorod. The Kremlin was caught completely off guard by the attacking force of tanks and armored vehicles. By the time Russia responded, the partisans had captured multiple villages, sparking panic despite censorship efforts. Accounts from the few Russian units deployed depict them being decimated due to lack of training, equipment and support. The partisans reportedly withdrew only after occupying the area for several days, even absconding with some Russian vehicles, lending credibility to claims of defeat. With most combat forces sent to Ukraine, Russia is vulnerable along its borders. This attack served 2 purposes. First, it aimed to support Ukraine's counteroffensive. The Legion seeks to create a buffer zone along Ukraine's northern border to prevent Russian shelling of cities like Kyiv, and allow redeployment of air defenses to the Eastern Front. Second, occupying Russian territory was meant to inspire more Russians to join the resistance. Despite Ukraine's reluctance to promote the Legion's Russian roots, the audacious invasion attracted worldwide attention, enhancing the Legion's prestige and boosting recruitment. The Legion promises even bolder actions ahead and seems to be preparing new operations after swelling its ranks. For its part, Ukraine has been discreet about the group to protect members' identities from government retribution. However, Ukraine admits deploying several hundred Russian volunteers along the front lines, indicating growing willingness among disillusioned Russians to fight their comrades. Putin should be most concerned by Russian army defectors joining Ukraine, often bringing vehicles or weapons with them. As his disastrous war turns against him, the Free Russia Legion's ranks grow. The Wagner Rebellion revealed the extent of support for a coup against Putin. The Legion's next operation may be the one that ends Putin and the war altogether.